Consider the everyday act of eating. A child consumes bread and milk, and over time, that child grows taller. They generate new bone, new muscle, and new hair. For early Greek philosophers, this presented a serious material problem. Bread and milk do not look or behave like bone and flesh. Where do the physical materials required to build this new biology actually come from? This problem was magnified by the philosopher Parmenides, who laid down a strict mathematical constraint for the universe. Ex nihilo nihilo fit. Nothing comes from nothing. If this Eleatic rule is absolute, spontaneous generation of properties is impossible. Hair cannot come from non-hair. Flesh cannot come from non-flesh. Under this logic, physical change itself is a mathematical impossibility. To break this deadlock, a 5th-century thinker named Anaxagoras of Clazomenae engineered a rigorous theoretical workaround. He did not abandon the logical constraints of his predecessors. Instead, he abolished the concepts of creation and destruction entirely, designing a universe that perfectly obeyed these rules while allowing for a dynamic, changing world. Anaxagoras established his first foundational postulate. What we perceive as coming to be is merely the mixing of eternal, pre-existing ingredients. Death, or passing away, is strictly their dissociation. It is tempting to picture these ingredients as tiny, discrete units of matter, but Anaxagoras explicitly rejected an atomic model. In this diagram, spinning discrete particles physically separates them, leaving empty spaces between pure color clusters. Isolating a pure red particle creates a localized void of blue. Removing blue entirely means the property ceased to exist, constituting destruction, which violates the nothing from nothing rule. To obey the absolute ban on creation and destruction, matter cannot be built from discrete blocks. It must be an infinitely continuous fluid. Anaxagoras proposed an alternative framework known as the everything in everything principle. He argued that every single ingredient that exists is present in every coordinate of space, simultaneously. Instead of isolated atoms, this beaker's fluid features overlapping, translucent fields of earth, fire, water, and iron. Zooming in 100 times, the exact ratio of fields remains. Zoom in 1,000,000 times, it's identical. Matter is infinitely divisible. You never isolate a pure element. Because every ingredient exists everywhere simultaneously, the paradox of nutrition is solved. Bread can grow bone because the bone was always present in the bread, submerged at an imperceptible density. If every object is comprised of the exact same infinitely mixed gunk, why do a rock, a fire, and a plant look and behave so differently? The mechanism that forces distinct properties to emerge from the universal mixture is the principle of predominance. This graphic illustrates how local concentrations dictate physical identity. As the opacity of gold increases to dominate the coordinate space, the aggregate visual crystallizes into what appears to be a solid gold block. Even in this seemingly solid gold, the other elemental ingredients have not vanished. They are merely submerged below the threshold of human perception. What we experience as the physical world is not a collection of pure substances. It is a topographical map of shifting ingredient densities. If matter is just an infinite continuous field of mixed densities, there must be a force causing those densities to shift and clump in the first place. Before time, the cosmos was an infinite motionless cloud, where all ingredients perfectly and evenly mixed. The exogenous catalyst breaking this stillness is nous, intellect or mind. It carries a strict metaphysical constraint as the singular entity exempt from the everything in everything rule. If nous were mixed into the gunk, it would be entangled in its physical laws. Remaining completely unmixed and pure is what grants it the leverage to exert master mechanical control over the system. Anaxagoras did not insert mind as a mystical deity steering the universe toward a moral purpose. He inserted it as a detached mechanical prime mover required to kickstart a static system. To organize the universe, nous initiates a localized rotation that expands outward indefinitely. This diagram shows the cosmic vortex acting as an infinite centrifuge. It sorts the everything in everything gunk strictly by relative density. Dark, heavy, wet elements compress tightly into a sphere at the center, while bright, hot, rare elements are flung outward to the swirling periphery. This theoretical framework translated directly into real-world scientific deductions. Anaxagoras realized that meteors are not divine omens. They are heavy, earthy stones snatched from the surface and flung into the heavens by centrifugal force. He also applied this exact physical model to astronomy, becoming the first human to correctly map the mechanics of a solar eclipse. The moon, he argued, was an earthy lump blocking the sun's light. By applying this logic, he stripped the heavens of their mythology, replacing the whims of the gods with a predictable system of centrifugal fluid dynamics. Because the vortex is expanding into an unlimited mass of ingredients, the turbulence can trigger secondary, localized rotations elsewhere in the infinite gunk. The inevitable consequence of these secondary rotations is the mechanical generation of multiple other worlds, complete with their own suns, moons, and biological constructs. This strict naturalism shaped the minds of the Athenian Golden Age. It directly influenced leaders like Pericles, pulling civic governments away from superstition and toward rational decision-making. Anaxagoras proved that human reason could build a complex, dynamic, functioning universe without ever breaking the strictest, most unforgiving laws of logic.